All right, so we are just about ready to go here for our live NASCAR show, and I know we didn't promise a live show last week, but we have told our viewers that we are going to have live shows every once in a while, and this is an opportunity for us to do that. So hopefully, if anybody out there, especially our loyal viewers, the ones who have been with us every week, and if the timing's right, not at work, and you can't afford to, pop this on live, we understand. But if you do get an opportunity to check us out while you're on live, please interact with us. If you have any questions, comments, anything at all, this is the best time to do that. This way we can talk with you right there in the chat. Just go ahead and say something, and we'll definitely get the opportunity to interact with you. So looking forward to doing that. And we're also looking forward to the live show that we're going to do once we set it up. We haven't decided yet. I think we're looking at maybe now is July 9th after baseball season.
Yes.
Okay, so July 9th Atlanta is a possibility for us, and then if we wind up doing and again, it's only the last hour. So if we do the last hour Atlanta July 9th live, then that'll be a good testing ground, because the next one would be the big race to end the regular season, of course, at Daytona on August 26th. So, hopefully we'll be able to get two of them in before the playoffs. But we'll try to see if we can get that. And obviously we'll let you know here in the coming weeks once we solidify our schedules and see if we can do that show, that race live. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this week, the Sonoma race, Toyota Save Mart 350. They've been like the sponsor of this race forever.
Feels like it. Yep.
So you have a few favorites up front: Reddick at 4-1, Elliott and Larson at 5-1. Taking a look at our picks, our similarities, and we haven't really been very similar lately. And I don't know, it's been fine for me because I was able, even though Kyle Busch didn't make a lot of money for any of us, at least we didn't lose money last week. So good for Kyle. And Kyle keeps my winning streak going. I think I have 4 or 5 straight, but that's going to end soon. I hope not anytime soon. But I've got a lot of big bets this week. Let's see. Taking a look at how many, because I just looked at this myself for the first time. We have 1, and that is it. Again, just 1.
Just 1. I was gonna guess 1.
You were?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I saw CJ's and he said, I was like, I don't think we really have many. My guess is gonna be if we had any, right, it'd probably be just 1 again.
Trying to say, you and I have 2, 3, 4. You and I have 4. But the 3 of us have just 1. And it is not a top contender.
I'm going to guess McDowell.
You and I have McDowell.
Then Buescher?
You and I have Buescher.
It's got to be Cindric.
We all have Cindric.
Okay. I knew it had to be right on a little run right there.
Yep. So you and I also have Bowman and Blaney. So those are all the ones that you and I have. So, yeah. Let's start, though, with the favorites. And I went back and forth with either Reddick or Elliott, but overall decided on Elliott. And I know you have Reddick out of the 3. CJ's got Elliott and Larson. So we all have a little bit different. But, yeah, I kind of went with Elliott at the last minute. And it was really tough to decide. But what really finished it, was the deciding factor for me, was the fact that Reddick has not performed well here. That was the deciding factor. And I know every road course is different. And really, it's also, look, Elliott last year led 26 laps, the most he's ever led at the track, finished 8th. He was runner-up the year before. And even though hasn't been winning and dominating with the new car on these short tracks, these road courses, he is still competitive enough that I just felt, especially, I don't know. It's also maybe a little bit of a feeling like, maybe he's going to reach that like point where I'm just enough of this nonsense. Let me go out and get a win and get it over with, so.
Yeah. Elliott, I think, was the safer. Larson, I don't like at all.
I agree.
15th last year, 14th in Coda in March. He's got 5 straight poles.
That's crazy. Have you ever seen such a thing?
No, but 4 of his last 6 finishes in the season, he's been 20th or worse. 3 of the 4, like 30th or worse. I feel like they've rolled off the truck terrible at 600. I mean, they had the hood up at the 600 at one point. Last week, like we talked about, they were terrible. I mean, they were running outside the top 30 at one point. I just don't feel I feel like he's digressed. Now, granted, he could come out and win, but his stats do not merit him for the odds that he's at. Elliott would struggle with me because he was 0 for 6 total in Sonoma. Like, I feel like if he was going to ever win there, it would have happened. And coming off the suspension, he didn't run Coda. I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have with him not running on a road course yet in that car. Reddick just seemed to me like a safe play. His stats in the past, there's a lot of left to be desired, but he didn't really start kicking in his road courses until the Road America race last year. He won Road America. He won Indy. He won Coda back in the spring. 5th again last year there. 7th at Watkins Glen. 8th on the Roval. It just 4 top 10s the last 6 on the season. And I remember Denny Hamlin, what stood out to me was in Coda saying, because it was a question, right? It's a legitimate question. Is Toyotas have been terrible. Yeah. Is it Toyotas or did Reddick prove something? And Hamlin basically said it's him. This Toyota car, I mean, still we don't feel like it's great, but they can look at each other's data and the SMT and what he's doing. Like, he's put his car in places that I just can't do. He just has this driving style and this figured out on these road courses that he can do things that none of us can get our Toyota cars to do, but he can. So knowing all of that, it's like, it doesn't scare me that he hasn't done much there, because I think we've seen throughout these last couple of seasons, especially this year, drivers, hey, they've never had a top 10 there, and they go out and win. Sure. So I thought his odds were justified for how good he has been. So I thought he was the safest play. Larson's by far the riskiest. Yes. And then Elliott's kind of just there. It's like, plus 550 for a road course ace isn't terrible. So if I had to rank him, I'd go Reddick, Elliott, Larson. I'm on those 3.
All right. And then we have Byron at 8-1, Kyle and Chastain at 9-1. So you actually are the only one to take Byron, and he was coming off a 5th at COA this year, and 9th in this race last year. Now, Kyle, and he's interesting because he's coming off a win. He has a good history here. He's got the 2 wins. He was 2nd at Circuit of America, and that was with the different car. That was with the Reddick car. So that kind of made sense, because last year with the other car, with the difficult car, he did not perform well in any of the races, as we know, except the Roval, and also was a disaster here. But the fact that he gets off to a good start this year with the new car, that has to change everybody's minds, which is why wasn't he like 30-1 last year in this race, I believe?
Yeah, the Toyotas were all back there.
And now he's 9-1. So, and interesting, he's only had 2 races where he's led more than 10 laps at Sonoma, and those were both wins. The win in 08, he led 78 laps, and the win in 2015, he led 17 laps. And then Chastain, neither of us took Chastain. I didn't take any of these guys. Chastain, 7th and 7th in his last 2 attempts, 4th earlier this year at COA, and won COA last year. And we know he can drive okay on the road courses, but he also has had a lot of bad issues, which is probably not a surprise because of how aggressive he is and how easy it is for anybody that's an opponent of his to be out. This is the perfect situation for me to get him out of the race. So that's why he's always a risk. Plus, he's dropped now finally out of the points lead. He is no longer the points leader. Not only that, he's dropped to 5th, and it happened pretty quick over the last 3 races.
Yeah, Byron to me, he's had actually better Sonoma success than his results showed, because in the recent years he was going for stage points, and he gets stage wins and better stage points. But a reminder for those out there this weekend, we're not going to caution at the end of stages again. We're going to keep going. So that's going to change things. Last year and the years past, you obviously had the stage break cautions, and he was taking stage wins and not worrying about the finish. And
was he
so
the
had
driver that when Blaney did it, that strategy was? I know there was another driver or two that
he was one of them. Yep,
okay.
He was the one that typically took the points in the stage wins. Now that doesn't matter. Now if he starts up front, which like he has there, he could stay there. It doesn't matter anymore. He was good at COTA. I feel like his road course and experience up front kind of cost him. He still finished 5th, but now he's getting that experience. He's been there, and he's hot. He's got a top 8 finish in 6 straight weeks now. So I feel like if Hendrick, the way that their road course cars have been, I feel like they are improved a little bit this year. He should be up. He could be a contender. So I thought that was a fair number for him. Kyle, as you said, it's hard to think somebody will go back to back wins this year. We talked about that, but this car has been so good on road courses. He proved that, like you mentioned, at COTA, going from where he was the year before to runner-up. And he's also equaled the amount of wins in 15 races with RCR that he had in his final 108 starts with Gibbs. And they win, it feels like, wild card races. They won Gateway, which isn't necessarily comparable to much on the schedule. Talladega, Super Speedway, why not a road course? If anybody's going to go back-to-back, it's a guy that's won 63 career Cup races. So I felt good about him. Trackhouse in general, I'll just kind of lump them, him and Suarez, and I will get to him, but he was plus 1,600. They're just reeling right now. There's nothing about them that thought, yeah, that's the team that I feel like they can. Yeah, they won 2 of 6 road course races last year, including this very one with Suarez. But Suarez has just 2 top 10 finishes his last 12 starts on the season, one of them being last week. He's been nowhere. Chastain, he's slipped way backwards, as you said, and it's because of his aggression. I wrote about that this week. It was one of my 5 preview things between the 2 races, Gateway and here, that ever since he got sat down and talked to about his aggression, when they admitted, we talked about this on that show, it's like you're changing the driver. That's not who he is. If you have him not be as aggressive, is that going to cost results on the track? Ever since they talked to him, he's not finished better than 22nd. It's not like he's getting ran over a little bit. He's not putting it back like he used to be, and that's taking him from 1st to 6th in points.
Good reminder.
And this is a track that you have to, road courses, aggression. I don't feel like he's got it right now.
Well, he's gonna eventually put an end to that. You know it. It's not gonna take too much longer. Maybe it's Sunday. Maybe somebody's gonna ruffle his feathers, and that's gonna be all right. That's enough. I've had enough of this.
And that's where I wonder. And that's where, like, for 900 plus 900 like that, and so I was like, I'm not. Again, it's gambling. I'm not gonna. I could get better for Byron and Busch. Feel better about them than I can for that camp. It just seems like across the board, they've got to get their program turned back around. And it's hard to just turn it around in the first week you turn around and win. Usually it comes in top 5s or top 10. So if you want to snag him for a top 5 or top 10, him and Suarez, that's one thing. But an outright win, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, look, we talked about it too as you brought that up. We did not agree with that strategy. Just go out there and be you. There's nothing wrong with that. And obviously he didn't listen to us. Well, this isn't working, okay? Go back to being the way that you were. It's the best way, and whoever's telling you it's not, don't listen to them. So,
you got to go back. It's Chevy. I think Chevy had a hand in it. Hendrick being mad, talking to Chevy and Justin Marks. They just all combined. It's like, look, man, you got to temper this down, but that's not who he is. That's not what got him to this point, and you're changing your style, and just be aggressive. Just be that guy. Be that villain, and I think he wants to be, and I just think he's lost that step because of it, and getting it back. I mean, we've seen it. It's hard to get it back. It's hard to get back to where you were. You don't just go from here to here. It's just you've got to gradually get there. So I think that's where the top 5s and top 10s come in before he just jumps in a win. So I thought plus 900 was an easy fade. Him and Larson, those favorites were easy fades for me.
By the way, Kyle, before jumping in the new car last year and had a disastrous finish here. The previous 6 races at Sonoma, 5th, 2nd, 5th, 5th, 7th, and 1st. 2nd this year on the first road course, and there you go. So another reason why Kyle is one of the better road course drivers, as long as you give him the equipment. Now at 16-1, correct me if I'm wrong, did you put money on Suarez?
I didn't.
You didn't.
I don't think I did.
What do I have money on here you're from? You sure you didn't?
Maybe I did. Maybe I put him on
because he's 16, defending champ.
I think that's probably what I did. I didn't put much. If I did,
no, just to get your money back.
I think that's what I did to get money back for him. But like, if we weren't playing this fantasy league to get money back, I'd fade him. But I put him there just to get money back.
Yeah, and the same thing. You put the same thing with AJ. I just had to stay away from both of those drivers, including Suarez, for what you said. And I'm just not going to think that he's going to win back-to-back races. Be defending champ and win it again. Plus, he was 27th at COTA earlier this year. He's a pretty good road course driver, but just a combination. Now, maybe the 7th place finish last week will get him going, get some confidence going. But other than that, and AJ, you know what? I understand. We know he's a good, but look at his previous 5 races. Now, last year, let's start last year. Finished 19th. And he started 16th. So starting position, not that great. Finished 19th, nothing special. Blah. The previous 5, check out these starting positions. 5th, 5th, 2nd, 1st, and 2nd. And check out his finishes. 38th, 35th, 14th, 37th, and 37th. I mean, you're starting up front, and you're still a disaster results-wise. So why would I put money on AJ?
Yeah, he's similar to Larson in that standpoint. And the only reason I did was plus 1,600 for a road race ace, but I don't think he's going to win with what he hasn't finished better than 14th since the Daytona 500, just on the season alone.
Yeah. It's almost like you want to see him have a good race on Sunday before you really feel confident about taking him on another road course.
Yeah, and he was 34th in COTA this year. I mean, he's running out of time, or if he's going to get in the playoffs, there's 4 or 5 road courses left in the regular season, this being one of them.
4,
so
yeah.
They, without having the benefit of the stage cautions that go off strategy, I think it's going to be a struggle for them, but you're also getting plus 1,600 for a road racing race. I just kind of did it to get, again, money back, but do I feel strong about it? No. I don't know if I feel confident he can get in the top 10. I just feel like there's too many good guys out there that it could be a struggle for him on Sunday. Now,
because I only took Elliott out of the top, 7 drivers, 8 drivers, I had some decent money to spend on all these next guys. So that begins with the 2 drivers we both took, Buescher and Cindric, at 20-1. So really like their chances. I mentioned this last week with Cindric. Even though he had the bad finish at the Coke 600, that he is starting. He even looked like he could have had a better finish. He had the late wreck there, and that's the reason he had the bad result. Otherwise, you could have had a top 10 there. He was close to a top 10 last week, and he was nothing really the previous month or so. So I think he's coming on now. He was 5th last year in this race. 6th earlier this year, which tied for his best result on the season. So already on the road course this year, that's been working for him. And he had good results last year, as we know. He's a good road course driver. So we agree with that. So I really like him. He's actually my favorite pick the entire day. If I was picking a number 1 driver. Buescher, meanwhile, how do you not take him? 2nd last year in this race. He's 8th at COTA. Bunch of top 10s last year on the road courses. He's having a very solid season. He's got 6 top 12s in his last 7, including 3 top 10s and 1 top 5. This has never been better for Chris Buescher ever in his career, and this is the perfect timing for him to get a win and solidify himself as a playoff driver. So yes, love these 2 guys at 20-1.
Yeah, I think from between this and the 35-1 with going down to Blaney, this grouping right here feels like a race-winning combination coming from them, because we talked about, we don't feel very strong about the favorites this week other than Reddick and Byron and Busch. That's really about it. So that's only 3 drivers. Somebody else has to round out that top 5 and get up there. And as I said, Cindric, he's a road racing ace by nature. That's what he grew up racing. He raced sports cars, and you're getting him for 20-1. And as you said, he was been so strong. 8th, 5th, 7th, 2nd, 13th, and 21st last year on road courses. 6th in COTA this year. He's racing. He didn't get suspended like Austin Dillon wanted. You guys want my thoughts on that? It's on racereviewonline.net about how I don't think he should have been suspended. I don't think NASCAR needs to be getting too much looking into data and all that stuff. So that's on there now. But I feel like 20-1 is a solid number for him, and 22-1 for Buescher is an absolute no-brainer. When you look at his last 5 road course finishes of last season, 2nd here, 6th, 10th, 9th, 6th, 8th in COTA this past March. They look really good on the season. I feel like if there's any race that Buescher is going to jump in and win, this could be here, and he's 22-1. So no-brainers on both of those guys.
Meanwhile, you did not take these 2 drivers, but I did, Bell and Harvick. Bell, the reason I took Bell is the same reason as you were talking about with Reddick, is that I don't think Bell, because he's really good at road courses, now it has mattered some races, but in some others, in some other road course races, especially winning the Roval, top 10 at Watkins Glen, 3rd at COTA last year. So he's been, yes, he didn't have good results last year, but neither did Reddick at this track. So, but the difference is I'm getting 25-1. So I thought at 25-1, that's a bargain for a really good, sort of like what you were saying for AJ, I felt for Bell. And then Harvick, he's been pretty solid here. He's got 7 top 5s. He's got a win. He was 4th in this race last year, runner-up at the Roval late last year. 6th or better in 6 of his last 7, with a runner-up in 2018 and a win in 2017. So and he's been solid all season. I know he hasn't had the first, I'm going to lead a bunch of laps speed, but we're on a road course now. So maybe that's exactly what Kevin needs to get his first win. So yeah, I felt pretty good taking these 2 guys at 25-1.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't was they're coming this weekend not looking like contenders on the season. Bell, his finishes lately 36th, 14th, 24th, and 11th the last 4 weeks. He went from 2nd to 7th in points, kind of like Chastain's falling off. But he could easily get this win. I mean, he's got a car. We know the Toyota thing scared me a bit with him, but
wasn't he leading the standings after the win at the dirt win?
Early in the year. Early in the year he was. Yeah,
and he was so hot. He had a bunch of top 5s, and it was like, wow, Christopher Bell. Yeah.
He just needs, and Harvick, he'd be a great top 10 play to bet. Because the one thing with him, he's only in the last 8 races, he's got 1 finish better than 9th. But all of them have been between 9th and 15th. Yeah. He's just kind of been there. And a top 6 finish at Sonoma 6 times in his last 7, he knows how to get around there. Is he going to win and have outright pace? Probably not. But what if these guys above him have issues and you just happen to already be in the top 5, 6, 7 cars? You could capitalize on something like that. So, yeah, I mean, for 25-1, yeah, it doesn't hurt that there's something their way.
We both went with Bowman and Blaney, 28-1 Bowman, 35-1 Blaney. I just thought that Bowman, these are good odds. He's an underrated road course driver. He's not a top guy, but he's a sneaky, decent road course driver. 3rd this year at COTA, 2nd last year at COTA. And I know it's not COTA, but it's still, he's had his moments on road courses before. Blaney, meanwhile, is all of a sudden taken over first in points. So he is right now at the pinnacle of his career, actually, and how quickly that changed.
Oh,
yeah. He had Kyle Petty slamming him a couple of months ago, and now he's leading in points and almost won back-to-back races. We know he's a solid road course driver. He's got 4 top 10s out of 6 here, 1 top 5. He's never led a lap. Keep that in mind. He was 6th in this race last year, but you are getting 35-1.
Yeah, I thought, again, the Bowman, the disrespect train continues for him. 3rd in the spring, and out of his last 4 Sonoma starts, he was 9th in 2 of them. If you're going to go in with saying, basically these odds makers are saying Hendrick's got the road course package back together with Larson, Elliott, and Byron all between 4-1 and 9-1, they're all right there, but Bowman's 28-1, and he's arguably been just as good here, if not better than those guys.
Yes.
So I thought that was a no-brainer. He could use a win to solidify himself in. And Blaney I don't know what they were thinking with him at 35-1 when he's the points leader for crying out.
Yeah.
Anytime the points leader is 35-1, it doesn't matter how bad he's been at a track, you take him. He's the points leader. He's got 6 top 10 finishes, his last 7 on the season, 6 at this track last year. He's just been around. He's won the Roval before, so he has won a road course in his career. So we talked about Cindric being 20-1, his teammate being just as good. I feel like you have to take Blaney at 35-1.
All right, Logano's also 35-1. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the same numbers, and he has not really been as hot, of course, even though he is coming off a third-place finish last week, and you are getting 35-1. Truex is also 35-1. I did put money on Truex. Same reason as Bell and some of these others. Very good road course driver. I know, they're having problems there at Toyota. I get it. He's got 3 prior wins, though, at this racetrack. And he's got 6 top 10s in his last 8 on the year with 4 top 5s and a win. He did have a 7th earlier this year at COTA, so that's a good sign. So at 35-1, I said, all right, maybe he's kind of figured something out. And then you also have Hamlin and Keselowski at 40-1. But those guys, if I was going to take someone, I'd probably take Hamlin. As a matter of fact, CJ did put a couple of bucks on Denny. Denny was, of course, runner-up last week, as we talked about. But last year was a disaster, as we know. That's the problem. Otherwise, he's been pretty decent on this racetrack.
Yeah, him saying how much of a disaster their road course package is, even after COTA, he usually calls his own shot. He's not wrong about saying so. Like even him, I think that's probably what put him at 40-1. But even him saying that, I trust him. Truex would probably be out of those guys, as you said, I would take. I mean, he's 4 top 8 finishes his last 5 races, 3 of which in the top 5 on the season. So he's heating up, and he's led the most laps at Sonoma in 3 of the last 5 years there. So he knows how to get around there. If you're going to take Bell, as you did, as you said, you might as well take Truex because he's not only has results there, he's hot entering this weekend. He's definitely been running well. So I think he's out of those guys. Logano's been nothing. Really, basically, all outside of the super speedway. Last week, he kind of lucked into that third. He was 28th in COTA. He was 4th in 2021 there, but his previous 3 before that was 12th, 19th, and 23rd. 1 top 10 in 6 road course races last year. So, I don't trust him. So I think your solid play out of that is Truex, and the other ones I just made.
And we're going to wrap up here because we only have a couple minutes left before we have to cut off here. McDowell at 45-1. You and I both took McDowell. Matter of fact, as you know, I moved McDowell on my fantasy team this week in exchange because Jones had more issues, more penalties came down on Jones. I just got done dissing Briscoe for penalties, and I get Jones for 1 week, and I got more penalties. You know what? Let me just take McDowell. It's road course season, so This is the best time to have McDowell. He was 3rd in this race last year, and you're getting 45-1. So we both like McDowell, and then we also both put a buck on 1,000-1 shot. I put a buck on Gilliland. You put a buck on Andy Lally. But again, McDowell is also a bargain at 45-1.
Yeah, McDowell's a strong 45-1 play. He said 3rd last year, 6th in Watkins Glen last year. He was 12th in COTA, and he's got a top 10 finish last week in Gateway. So if there's any time, again, the momentum's swinging high for him. I want Andy Lally, road course racer by nature. I'm not saying that Rick Ware car is going to win, but you go off strategy with him, and he's been in NASCAR before. This isn't his first NASCAR parade, so I'd be curious to see what he could do in that car. I mean, 1,001, bet $1, you win $1,000. So
you never know. Track position, you never know.
You don't stretch fuel, don't pit at the end when people do. You just do something, and you never know. So that's why I took him.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up, guys. Look, like I said, we may do these live shows whenever. We are going to work on Discord. We'll let you know about that. We'll let you know when we're going to have that live race day show for the last hour. Hopefully Atlanta. We'll know more about that. Next week, What do we have? We have next week?
Week off.
We have off next
week
week.
Off. Yeah, the 1 week off. It's here.
All right.
And then Nashville. So maybe the not this next Tuesday, the Tuesday after 10 a.m. I mean, I don't have anything on an emergency happens.
What do you mean, for another live show?
Yeah, 10 a.m. and the Tuesday.
That's definitely a possibility. So we'll have to. Well, I'll keep that in mind, and we will let you know at least a few days before that.
Or you viewers, our fans that have been on here that comment a lot. Is there a date and time during the week that works best for you guys?
Wednesdays are no good, by the way.
Yeah, say Wednesdays aren't good, and we've got stuff usually going on nights. So a weekday, if there's a day that works.
And Tuesday's usually the best. Yeah. Because of the odds. The odds come out. Mondays are no good. Yeah.
Mondays, because you don't have any odds to work off of.
So we're not giving them a whole lot to choose from, except maybe times.
Yeah.
It's a good time on a Tuesday. Unless you prefer Thursday. But I know a lot of the guys like the Tuesday, the earlier shows.
Yep. So we'll plan Tuesday at 10, and then if that doesn't work and there's a better time slot, give us your opinion.
Interesting. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Eric. Enjoy the week off. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right, let's see. I'm going to cut us off here now, stop streaming, and stop.